Good evening, everyone. Richard Copperthwaite here, a.k.a. Duke Fars. Thanks for joining us. Happy to be back on the set. Good to see old friend Dave Handy across the table. Mr. Handy, always good to see you. And Mr. Nick Mumley. Nick, this is your first appearance in a while.
Yeah.
Great to have you back.
Wednesday off here, yeah.
Great.
Nice
Boy, I hate to start on a sad note, but I just want to mention, I just did an earlier St. Albans Today show that some folks might have seen and got the terrible news from Town Select Board Chairman Brendan Deso that we lost side judge Bob Johnson. Bob, I guess, died last night.
Bob,
someone you knew pretty well.
Oh, very well. Bob's in the Rotary.
Good guy. Of course, a Rotary guy, former St. Albans Town Selectman, very involved in the town. He took his side judge, Franklin County Assistant Judge job very seriously, too. He did a very good job with that. It meant a lot to him. Did a great job with it. So, horrible news. Stunningly
really
bad news.
Yeah, it really stinks. And I feel bad for Carrie and family.
Condolences
it's just
to
awful.
Carrie Johnson, of course, is St. Albans town manager, so certainly condolences to the Johnson family. And again, Bob, that's a big loss for Franklin County. That's lousy news. Anyway, I'm just back from my trip. In fact, I would have phoned in last Wednesday night. I called, I think, the Wednesday before, and I was at I didn't make it to your Charleston River Dogs, the Yankees affiliate, only because I kind of screwed up the schedule anyway. But I did make it to a Myrtle Beach Pelicans game last Wednesday night, and I was here fully intending to call you, but the loudspeaker, they were just making so much noise. I would have had about 10 seconds, so I let it go. But this is a new minor league ballpark for me, the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. It's another Class A full schedule, just like the River Dogs, different Carolina League. They were playing the Carolina Mudcats, a Milwaukee Brewers affiliate. The Pelicans are a Chicago Cubs affiliate. But it was fun. I missed Thursday by a night because I saw walking in, there's, the video board, $1 beer, $2 wine.
Oh, wow.
And I go up, but no, you're a night off, buddy. It's a $7, $5 beer, whatever. But it was a BOGO night. I'm embarrassed to say I'm not sure I even had paid attention to what BOGO.
What the heck is a BOGO?
Do you not know what BOGO means? That
No.
makes me feel better. Nick?
Yeah, it's buy one, get one.
Buy one, get one. I think only on this trip did I realize, well, I keep BOGO. What is BOGO? So it was Wiener Wednesday at the Pelicans ball.
So you had plenty of hot dogs.
Well, I had two. It was 2 for 1 hot dogs, and I got a foot long. I had 2 hot dogs, but it was fun. Good to see a minor league game.
All my friends were all waiting to see what you thought of the Giants taking your guy as number 1 quarterback.
Talk about. I feel like I was personally beaten up. Talk about. And with Mr. Jim Levy next week, who will be on the set, we'll probably get back into this. I drove my long 2 drives. My last 2 drives were Myrtle Beach to Ocean City, Maryland, last Friday, the day after the first day of the draft, after the big news about the Giants. And I've got Sirius XM radio, which I love. Best money I spend maybe in my life. But of course, I'm doing draft stuff, and I just felt like I got pounded for like that 10-hour drive. I'm just getting pounded by irate Giants fans and everybody with an occasional differing opinion. But I just felt like I got beaten up. Well, I just feel bad. I hope Daniel Jones has a thick skin.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks for Daniel Jones. There's no doubt about that. But can you really blame the Giants fans? Even you, I can't imagine that you would expect him to go 6th overall.
I was surprised. But again, we get into pundits and stuff. I love how people are just saying, matter-of-factly, hey, terrible pick. This guy will never be anything. Great. And I'm sure you were predicting Donald Trump being elected president and Hillary Clinton, being defeated by Barack Obama.
Well,
pundits I'm so unimpressed with pundits. But I can understand the concern.
I've read a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and there's an occasional differing there. He does have some supporters.
Now, the first thing I got to tell you.
Yeah. You're a Giant fan. Were you outraged by this pick?
No. And
we talked on the phone about that.
As Dave Gettleman's been part of 7 Super Bowl winners.
Really?
Okay. 7. So this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
If they saw something in this kid that made them want to...
Obviously they did.
because Gettleman is 100% convinced
Oh yeah.
that he wouldn't have been around by 17.
Yeah. Yep. I heard. Yeah, I heard. Gettleman.
And they feel that this guy has all the qualities
Yeah.
that they're looking for.
Interesting.
He's a clone of Eli and Peyton Manning.
The Coach Cutcliffe connection, obviously.
And I had read a thing about a week before
Yeah.
that this Cutcliffe or whoever the quarterback, he's like the quarterback whisperer. And
Well, he, of course, has Coach Cutcliffe has connections with Peyton in particular, and
he said this guy. This is before the Giants took him. This guy is the real deal. The thing is, Duke really isn't a football factory, and their football team wasn't that good.
You know, right? They just barely pulled off a bowl game, which they won,
and that. This guy, if he were playing on a premium team, they love the intellect, they love the competitiveness.
Smart guy.
They love the character, they love the size, they love everything about this guy.
What, 6'5", 220, I think? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the size is,
they don't have to worry about him being in the newspapers.
Right.
I think they just said, you know what, this is a guy we want. Now,
no, everybody, that was definitely their thinking.
So, and then of course they did address other needs later on.
Of course, they got a Clemson guy at 17. I mean,
he's a Vince Wilfork clone.
I think that's a good pick.
He was.
Although they got grief about.
And they picked up a couple cornerbacks.
Yeah.
And they actually had 3 first-round picks. And Gettleman is totally unapologetic. He could care less. And the thing is that last year they had all those quarterbacks. He didn't think any of them were any good.
Yeah.
Certainly none of them were worth getting all excited about.
Yeah.
And when you look at it a year later, Rosen was so good that the Cardinals swapped him for the second round pick.
The Cardinals are.
But again, it might be worth giving. You know, I mean, a 1 year. I mean, give somebody more than 1 year.
You can't base any of these quarterbacks off of what they've done yet. Of course, Saquon looks like the pick of the draft last year because he's the only guy. The running back is such an easy position to just plug and play. And Saquon, we knew he was the best NFL-ready player in the draft, and he was.
He was great.
We don't know anything about the quarterbacks yet. Sam Darnold very well could become one of the better players in the draft.
Sam Darnold might be a pretty decent quarterback.
Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen was the best player on his team last year. The Cardinals were just a terrible team. That's why they were bad.
And they totally fell in love with Tyler.
They had the new coach. They have the new coach. It's a big risk what they're doing right now with this coach and this quarterback.
Well,
we got our first call.
We got a call.
Go ahead, caller. Jump in, please. Thank you. Hello.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Hey, good.
We're good.
How are ya?
I had to call and I saw Nick back. Glad to see you, Nick, and I've got to pay him kudos. About 2 months ago, he said this trade with Arizona was going to happen, and I think we all rolled our eyes right back in our head.
Right, so
High five to you, brother. That was a very, very good call. When you first mentioned this, I mean, I thought us going to the moon would stand a better chance, but that was very, very good. Very good call, buddy.
It didn't make sense at the time, but you go back 2 months when they hired Cliff Kingsbury, who openly said, if I have the number 1 overall pick, I'm taking Kyler Murray. He got the number 1 overall pick. And he's the run and gun offense that you look back to his Texas Tech days. That his teams were all about scoring as many points as they could, while getting the ball back as quickly as they could, which often meant like 66 to 65 final scores in the Big 10 and the Big 12. Kyler Murray plays that exact style. Kyler Murray's a guy we saw in college. He was able to put 60 points on the board pretty much by himself, and. You know, Rosen is not as flashy as Kyler Murray. Kingsbury's a flashy coach, offensively especially. Murray's the flashy guy. When I read that Kingsbury said that he would take that pick before he was hired. Everything just made too much sense. But it's an awful move for the Cardinals. I think they set their franchise back for a really long time by
You're
making
surprised
this
they
move,
didn't get
but I'm
more
not
for-
surprised they did it.
Are you surprised they didn't get more for Rosen?
No, because what are you going to do? Bench the number 10 overall pick next year? They had to trade him.
No,
It's
I know
not
they
like
had to
they're
trade
gonna
him,
keep
but given the fact they were trading him, are you surprised they didn't get more for him? They got, what, a second?
Not at all,
surprised?
because it's one of those situations
I
where,
think Miami was the only taker.
yeah.
It wasn't like there was a big market
well,
for this guy, huh?
Well, I think there could have been but the Giants, I think, were interested until they took Dan Jones.
Yeah.
I do believe that the Patriots had interest in this guy, but
I thought
they didn't.
the Pats might have some interest.
I think that they weren't going to go much higher than a 4th-round pick. The situation here was that Arizona's backed up against the wall. They've got 2 really good quarterbacks. Obviously, they're going to go to Kyler Murray because they just invested their next 15 years into him.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with Josh Rosen? Are you going to really leave this guy behind the bench?
No,
Obviously, you're going to have
move
to
him.
trade him.
Yeah.
And unless there's a bidding war, the price is going to be really low when you're backed up against a wall.
Well, I
with
was
a guy
reading
like
where
that.
Washington, not Washington, but Arizona, when they finally decided to shop Rosen, we're talking first-round picks.
Right.
And so it's sort of like the old Craig Krimble. You start so high, you never even get an offer.
Well, I think that Rosen should have probably, in a perfect world, I think Rosen is worth a 1st or a 2nd-round pick, either a 1st-round pick or a 2nd and a 3rd. But they backed themselves into the wall. They didn't pull the trigger 2 months ago when if they knew that this is the route that they were going to take, which it seemed pretty clear. Like, I feel like this is what they decided to do as soon as Cliff Kingsbury became the coach.
Yeah.
I think you've got to make the trade then. You can't wait until it's over with.
Leverage.
Yeah, they waited too long.
They had 2 quarterbacks right there, and the situation was obvious. But it's all good, and I think what Kyle Murray is going to add, he's going to put fans in the bleachers. He'll draw more fans to the ballpark. People will love his style of play.
Yeah.
Will
He's
he
flashy.
make it to the Super Bowl right off? Probably not, but he'll re-energize the Arizona Cardinals, so it should be good. Back to the Giant pick. I'm not a Giant fan, but sitting back on the outside, my only problem with the pick, it is not the quarterback. It is there was a ton of better players that the Giants could have selected at number 6. And I'm not saying this quarterback is better than that one picked at 14th. The quarterbacks, like you said, Red, in 2 or 3 years from now, we'll be able to list them who's better. But I just think the Giants let too many impact players go by at number 6.
I agree with you.
And I still feel they could have got a quarterback on their next pick. And that's only my feelings on it. But, the guy is a very classy guy. He was friends with the Mannings, and I think that had a little bit to do with it. But, again, these drafts, only time will tell.
Yeah, I think, what we're looking at here, the Giants really, if they were hell-bent on getting Daniel Jones, they could have waited till 17 because, like you said, there was a lot of talent still left on the board. But
there were rumblings that, again,
there were rumblings but at
that
the
a
same
couple of
time,
other teams might have gotten him before 17.
You've got, even if a team like Washington does decide to take that route and draft Daniel Jones at 15, which still would have been a surprise, I think, to me.
They could have gotten the Ohio State guy.
Haskins would have been on the board still. Yeah. So
I don't think Haskins.
I don't think they were high.
I don't think they liked Haskins. Yeah. I don't think they.
I think anyone who didn't like Haskins just doesn't know what they're doing. Well, Haskins is the best quarterback out of the Big Ten since Tom Brady.
I read it. In fact, the Washington coaching staff supposedly they're not high on Haskins. Snyder was in love with Haskins, but supposedly
the guy threw 50 touchdowns last year.
Washington is so dysfunctional that the owner makes the first-round pick. Yeah. When the owner is making a first-round pick, the team...
Washington had the best first round, I think. But they got that sweat kid at the end of the first round as well.
They did an excellent job.
I don't think... I'll tell you what...
They got rated the best, too. They had an A on their draft for once. They did do it, but I agree with you, David. Usually...
Usually
Snyder
they're
runs
all out
that
of
like a
sorts.
rotisserie football pool.
The my take is let's see what happens. I've read a lot of stuff. Phil Simms, they greeted Phil Simms the same way. He turned out to be pretty good.
And thank you, Phil Simms. I actually picked up, having been beaten up for 10 hours as I'm driving from Myrtle Beach to Ocean City with the abuse on, Daniel Jones and the Giants getting beat up. I did pick up a New York Post the next day when I saw the headline, let's give this guy a chance. And Phil Simms saying, what you'd expect him to say? Hey, let's give this guy a chance. Sounds like he's a pretty good quarterback. Let's not totally freak out Giants fans, but of course they were.
The Giants,
And the thing is, too, it's the system that you create for your quarterback. You can't build a system around him where he's over his head. You find the best talent with your quarterback, and that's the system you build around for him. Now, with Barkley there, it's going to be a very comfortable position for your new quarterback on the Giants.
Nice to have a good running back.
They're going to be a run
offense.
first team next year.
So there's not going to be a lot expected out of him the first year or two. So he can ease into this position
And who knows how much he plays.
very nicely.
I don't think he's going to play at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not even. And Gettleman at one point
No,
said
I mean,
he made
next
sit
year,
for 3 years.
he'll
I think he
hold the
wasn't serious.
clipboard
but-
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see
He won't see
overtaking
much
you.
playing
Yeah,
time.
I wouldn't
He'll get
think
in
so.
and out a bit probably towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
But Barkley will be there for quite a while, and he
Yeah.
will ease into that position. It's quarterback's best friend is a good running back.
Well, and they've done a decent job of getting their line back up to speed.
Yeah.
And like I said, Gettleman said, look, this is a guy we wanted. I've got no qualms. We're going to take him.
Well, he's riding. Gettleman's certainly riding his future with the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
And if
If
you
Jones
look at
doesn't work out, Gettleman's gone.
and if
I
you
think
look
so.
at
It's as
Gettleman's
simple as
picks
that.
from last year,
Yeah.
besides Barkley, they had a pass rusher. Their picks last year, the not Hernandez, but the tight end, not tight end, the tackle. They picked up who I'm not sure if he's a tackle. I think he's a guard.
But decent,
Will Hernandez, yeah.
So a decent draft.
Very good. Gettleman knows what he's doing. The Giants before Reese picked fancy guys. Gettleman picks character.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that the Giants will be a lot better. And the other interesting thing is that the coaches, Shermer told Eli, he goes, look, we didn't get him so that you can groom him. Your job is to beat him out and to be the best player you can be. You don't worry about him. You worry about you. I think that's the way they got to deal with it. And I think Eli will be fine. If they had a defense, the only thing I'm sorry about is that was a kid from LSU. He was still around. He's a hell of a pass rusher.
Greedy. Was his name Greedy?
Greedy Williams, I think.
No.
Devin White. No, he was drafted the pick before that. Are you talking about Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
That's who I think they should have taken.
Josh Allen.
He's a top 3 talent in this draft.
Yeah.
I think they made a big mistake passing over him.
Because there's a lot of
Do
people
you think
that
they should have taken him in the first?
I think you take I think the Giants very well. Looking at it right here, the Giants take Josh Allen at 6. Okay, then there's the Jaguars. Do they take a quarterback? Possibly. But they had the opportunity to get Haskins. They didn't. Then you get the Lions. No, the Bills aren't going to take a quarterback.
Well, the Jaguars ended up picking up
Josh Allen.
No, the Jaguars ended up picking up.
Oh yeah, they got Foles.
Nick Foles.
Yeah, and the Steelers,
so they didn't need a quarterback.
The
right.
Steelers
They
aren't
didn't
going to
need a
draft a
quarterback.
quarterback in the first round. Neither are the Bengals or the Packers. The Dolphins could have, but I think but then they picked up Rosen, so it didn't matter. The Falcons aren't. The Redskins did. The Panthers won't. There's Daniel Jones sitting for you at 17, and you've got and then you've got Josh Allen instead of Dexter Lawrence. And I'm not saying Dexter Lawrence
But
is
from
going to be a
Gettleman's
good
point of
player,
view,
but Josh Allen's a game changer on defense.
He's probably sitting, but again, for good or bad, Gettleman,
And he didn't care. No.
his guy was Daniel Jones, and he was not going to lose him.
I understand you take
good or
the
bad. Stay
I
tuned.
understand you take the risk with your. If you think you've got your franchise quarterback, you don't wait, and I think that's the rule. But I just have a hard time believing that the Giants are completely sold that this guy is their franchise quarterback. I think that they had a chance to get more talent.
Gettleman obviously is, but
yeah.
Anyway, interesting.
Okay, I'll let you guys go. Good talking to you and good seeing you back, Randy. Got to show your face more often.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll definitely try to be on here a few more times this summer.
All right.
Anyway.
Good night, guys.
Okay, see you, Bommy. Anyway, interesting.
Yeah, I
Say
think
if Nighthawk were here, he would be upset, like Nick Dave. He would have been upset that the Giants didn't pick another position player at 6.
And I think at the Giants, where the Giants are right now, that's where you got to go anyway.
Yeah.
I almost wouldn't have taken a quarterback this year, to be completely honest. You look at what's coming out next year with Tua Tagovailoa and Jake Fromm from Georgia. Both of those guys are going to be available. It's going to be 1 and 2. Those guys are going to go in the draft. The Giants, you take Josh Allen, then you can get Dexter Lawrence 2 at 17. And as rookies, those guys aren't going to get you multiple wins. Giants will be right back there next year. But I think Gettleman's just got that sense of urgency right now where he has to make things better quickly.
Well,
I don't know. I don't think the Giants are under the gun. I think he's got an idea. He has a certain type of player he likes. The guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, he made Carolina's team. And then since he left Carolina, they haven't been any good.
Yeah. So he's got a pretty good track record.
And he was with the Giants when they were getting
beating
the two Super Bowls.
Patriots?
Yeah. So they were good. And he's picked other Super Bowl teams too. The guy knows what he's doing.
I hope Eli can deal with Daniel Jones. I hope he just doesn't. It was interesting. Eli, as I'm sure you know, bagged his WFAN show in the like hours after Daniel Jones got picked. Eli was expected on with Mike Francesa like the next day and said, "Sorry, I'm gone." That's it. I don't know if that was connected, but that was a little weird.
Yeah, I just think that the Giants are kind of working backwards right now. I mean, going way back here, I just don't think that they're sure what they want their franchise to be right now. You look at, the trade of Odell Beckham Jr.
Which to me,
I agree with that. I think that was a really good trade. But
you love getting rid of him, right?
they weren't ever going to be any good with him.
Right. But you get rid of him. You get draft picks for him, okay? And Jabril Peppers, okay, that's a rebuild. That's the first sign. Okay, we're going to commit 4 or 5 years into building up a really young, solid team and making a run for the Super Bowl in 2023. But then
I think they're going to be ready.
And then they go out and they sign Golden Tate to a big contract. So how does that make any difference? What do you go into a rebuild and then 2 weeks later you're committed to winning? In a rebuild, you don't re-sign, you don't make big contracts to receivers when you don't really have a above average quarterback to begin with. The only talent you've got on offense right now is Saquon Barkley. It's just confusing.
Well,
they need to build a team
not
before
going to
they
use a rebuild term, though.
No, he doesn't think he's rebuilding.
They need to build a team around the position, around the quarterback position before they do anything else. Look at what the Colts did. They got Andrew Luck, and then Luck was out all those years. They were not any good. They built up an offensive line around Luck and a good team around Luck. Now the Colts are going to be a top Super Bowl pick for this season. That's how you do it. You don't draft the quarterback first and throw him to the Wolves when you've got a bunch of guys that should have been in the AAF.
I don't think they are going to throw. I don't think they are going to throw him.
He's
to the
not going
Wolves.
to play.
I bet he'll play very little this season. I'd like to think he'd get some time.
The only time he'll get is if the games are a rout, and I don't see I think they really love this guy.
And if
So
you're gonna sit him,
I'm glad. So you're okay with
I'm
this.
okay with him.
and if you're
Thank
gonna
you.
sit him, then why? Then what's the point of drafting him this year when you could have drafted two
Nick, how
game
many
changers
quarterbacks?
defensively?
Hey,
Did
Eli
Tom-
Manning.
did
Eli
Tom
Manning
Brady-
sat for a year.
Did Tom Brady not sit for a few years?
I think if you draft Tua
What's unusual
Tagovailoa
about
next year, he is an
a
instant
first-year
starter.
quarterback sitting? It's not unusual.
If you draft two defensive talents in this year's draft, and then wait till next year, get another top 5 pick, have your shot at Tagovailoa or Fromm, and if you don't get one of them, then there's Trevor Lawrence 2 years down the line. Those are 3 guys that are absolutely going to be day one.
They won't be
starters.
able to get
how
those guys.
Gettleman's thinking. There's no
I just-
guarantee they get those
I
guys.
just don't agree with it. I think the Giants are setting themselves up for failure for a really long time by just making
we'll see.
decisions that contradict each other.
We'll see. We'll see.
Meanwhile, my Patriots, they got again, for what it's worth. I think the draft gets an absurd amount of attention myself, but
Yeah.
for what it's worth, Patriots I saw all A's for those guys. But I'm intrigued by. I'd never even heard of their quarterback they drafted. I'm kind of intrigued by this
Jared
guy.
Stidham, yeah,
When
he's-
Jared Stidham,
He was-
Auburn, he had a
yeah.
great junior year.
Yep.
Regressed last year, but the lines he acknowledged not having a good year, but I'm kind of intrigued by this guy. This guy sounds like he just might be their quarterback in waiting a couple of years down the road. I'm assuming Brady's not playing until he's 50.
Brady's not going anywhere either.
This was the time to draft that quarterback.
No, I think
mean,
I was glad they drafted at least somebody they think might have.
You
some
want to hear an
life.
interesting statistic
Sure.
I heard the other day on NFL radio? Since 2000, there's been, I think, 19 or 20 quarterbacks taken with picks in the first round after 10.
Yeah,
You know how many of them turned out to be any good?
like 1 or 2 or something.
3.
Is that out of about 20
Aaron-
or so?
At about 20.
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers,
Russell Wilson,
Russell Wilson, and
and Pat Mahomes was 10.
Pat Mahomes
Mahomes
was
was
10. So usually the guys that get picked
yeah.
the first 10,
Yeah.
if
Trying to
you
think who the other one would be.
now that's first round picks. Now I'm not talking about
Right.
your 6th round anomalies like Tom Brady.
Right.
Oh, then never mind. Russell Wilson wouldn't be one of them. He was a 3rd round pick.
He was in first round.
But out of all those guys, and they listed and they read them off, and they were all nobodies, and they all look great, like Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a joke.
Yeah, so
Tim Tebow.
I believe that's
Tim
John.
Tebow,
I believe that's John. I think it's not. I think it's John Manziel now.
Oh, he's
of course,
John?
He played for the Alouettes. We didn't even take note of that.
Well, he
hardly.
played for the Alouettes for a
didn't-
little
what about
bit.
3 games?
He played for, about 3 games,
So
and
is
they
he?
banned him from
Is
the
he
league.
still? Is he? I mean, forget John.
He was in the AAF, and then the AAF folded, and there's nothing
So is he
else
gone?
going
Has he still got some hopes to somehow get to the NFL?
on. I
or-
don't think so. He wasn't really doing well in the lower leagues.
He's
He
a
was a high,
mess.
he's recovered, but I think he hasn't played football at a competitive level in so long that it's
Forget
gone.
it.
See, he's an example of why Kyler Murray is a real stretch. Even though Kyler Murray's got a
At
fantastic
5'10", right?
athlete.
5'10" and 1/8 and stuff. I love that, the measurement. Had he been under 5'10", oh, forget it. But hey, he's 5'10" and 1/8 of an inch, so he's
Right.
okay.
But I mean, Kyler Murray is really a stretch and a half because
You say that because of his height?
because of
talent?
his height.
Yeah.
And running quarterbacks, we've seen a bunch of those guys. Oh, another one, RG3.
Yeah.
Boy, didn't last
RG3
long.
came in like
Gangbusters.
And
had
where's he
got
now?
off to a great start, right? For
Well, he
year
got
anyway.
hurt.
A lot
He
of
just
injuries.
he just never held. His body broke down more
But
than
running
anything.
quarterbacks.
running
you gotta
quarterbacks get
wonder.
And he's with the Ravens now too, I believe, as their 3rd string quarterback.
Oh, is that right?
Possibly second. If he's still on the team, he's their 2nd string now behind.
so.
Daniel Jones, for the record, as you know, can, but he's certainly not a running quarterback, but he's certainly capable. I think against North Carolina, he ran for almost 200 yards,
Yeah.
but he's certainly not a running quarterback.
Now, I'll
per
tell you
se.
who
But
gave-
he
you
can
need
move.
is that type of
But he can
quarterback
move
in
if need
today's
be.
football.
I'll tell you who gave him 4-star rating is Jay Billis.
In fact, I read.
You read the same article I
read
did.
the same story.
He
his
coached
kid-
him as a
I didn't
kid.
even know Billis's kid was a guard on Wake Forest this year. I didn't even know that. Of
So
course, Billis is a Dookie, but he's
Yeah.
pretty straight shooter.
yeah, so
No, I was glad to see, like I said, some occasional differing opinions. But like I said, I'll never forget that drive. I felt like for 10 hours, of course, I could have turned off my radio or changed the station, but I was listening to all the ESPN, NFL, and I just like for 10 hours, I was just, Giants fans were just going crazy. I just felt when I limped into Ocean City with a severe thunderstorm warning, tornado watch, I felt like I was just throw myself on the beach and let the gods do me in.
My buddy Bruce Thompson was in Nashville. He
Wait,
left the day before the draft.
Oh, really? What a scene! I mean, the folks in there. How cool a scene was that?
Yeah,
well,
it was pretty
how
cool.
Smart. I give Goodell credit or whoever for taking the draft on the road.
Yeah.
Guess we know where it is next year? I think Vegas.
Oh, that'd be cool.
it's in
that'll
Vegas.
be a zoo. But the other thing I would like to add is what's the matter with all these people that they don't have a life, that they spend all their time worrying about the draft. I mean, come on, folks. This is NFL draft. It's not even a game.
Right.
And you know what?
Hey, the NFL must be loving it. The attention it gets is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they to televise all 3 rounds too. I mean, come on.
Right.
It's really well, that's all because of the fantasy players and
Yeah.
all
Is
that.
is that right? Which mean who mean
And I think
nothing
it's
to
just
me.
people who have an itch for football
Yeah.
2 months after the season's ended. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a good hit of football. Yeah.
Now
for
let's
the
see,
season.
Duke. Your Red Sox are really doing well.
Boy, well, they've at least won a couple games. Oh, did they lose? I didn't even know. Did they lose today?
I don't know.
they won 7-3.
Well, for the record, they just swept Oakland. That helps. That gets them back to, I think, 14 and 17.
Yes, they're 14 and 17 Marcus
A horrible
Walden has
start.
4 of those wins.
Really? So they did win today. huh?
Completely out of nowhere, Marcus Walden's come in and had just
I
a really
think I was
great season.
checking into Attorney General Barr today but I was busy. I forgot about the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible start. And your Yanks, boy, what's the injury situation? What
A
is
lot of
going
these guys
on?
are just about ready.
Are they getting two? Is it a conditioning thing? Is it something about?
Nah, I think it's just the fluke. And
Yeah, I think it's just bad timing.
But aren't we
really.
seeing? It seems like we're seeing more injuries.
well, I
Just
think
me?
a lot of the problem is with these guys
Yeah.
is because they train 12 months out of the year. Their bodies don't get a chance to rest.
Huh.
And you're seeing a lot of these muscle pulls, these obliques in the back.
which Judge has, right? He's got a
Yes,
serious oblique.
and I think your back, a lot of it, I'm sure, is because these guys are doing all these squats and all that other
So
stuff.
that's my point. Is that have they gone overboard on this conditioning thing?
possible, but I don't think it's anything that's going to be stopped anytime soon.
Well, the other thing is that early in the season, if a guy has a toenail that needs a trim, we'll put him on a DL for 10 days because you've got the guys that are
We got
due
like
to come up.
13 guys or something. For the Yanks.
Well, Sanchez is already back.
Oh, you know who I just missed seeing him in Charleston. He played one game for the
Yeah.
River Dogs, and it was a day before I got to Charleston, and they packed the place. They had a bigger crowd than opening night. They had 6,300 people.
Wow.
Well,
Came out to see
Sanchez is got back. Stanton is due back this week. Tulowitzki's playing maybe at the end of the week.
Boy, Judge is not back
Judge
for a
is
while,
gone
huh?
for a long time. Didi's gone
Really?
for a long
Are
time.
you concerned about Judge's durability at this point?
Boy,
Nah, I don't
He's
think
been
so.
hurt
Boy,
for
a bunch
much
of
of this.
injuries. Of
Like
course.
since the All-Star break, he's been hurt.
Well, when a guy gets hit
Wasn't a hit
with
bats,
a pitch,
wasn't a pitch.
yeah, you can't do much about that.
Can't blame that on him.
And then the shoulder thing, I think was from that stupid home run derby. You'll
Oh,
never
right.
see him in that again.
Same
about old
question
friend
but for
Jac-
Severino.
Severino could be Severino.
If I'm a Yankees fan, I'm getting really concerned about. I'm like Chris Sale level worried about.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Severino is
So what's
scary.
what's his situation?
Rotator cuff
and just setbacks. For him.
and rotator cuff and shoulder, or not shoulder, but delt and oblique, all the same. It's not good.
Yeah,
And the other guy that's due to come back, and he's playing with a torn rotator cuff, is Andujar.
Yeah.
And of course, the guy they picked up, I'll give Cashman credit. He's been shopping. He's been shopping at the Salvation Army. He picked up about Voigt. Voigt is He picked him up in a
And
junk
hasn't
bin.
Voigt been on base
He
like
was good
32
last
of the
year, too.
last 33 games?
Yeah,
or something?
the guy's a hitter, and he's really doing well. They picked up a third baseman, Escobar or something.
Yeah.
The guy's a world-class fielder. Did something to change the way he's hitting. He's been hitting about 300. They picked up Mabrin.
Yeah, Cameron Maybin.
Cameron Mabrin. He's had a hit every game. Another guy that's not too far from coming back is Betances.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they miss Betances.
And to their credit, they've hung in.
They've
hung
done
in
all
there.
right.
No, in fact, they just won like 10 out of 12 games or something.
Yeah, on West Coast trip, which usually is pretty tough.
Yeah.
No, I give the Yanks credit.
Yeah.
No, the Red Sox, again, I've been totally focused on golf recently. I'm just now paying attention to the Red Sox, but
Yeah,
the Chris Sale signing at this moment doesn't.
Chris Sale signing didn't make sense when it happened.
Yeah, I was thinking they were going to wait to see how he did this year. I mean, for the record, I think I had good words for it because he likes Boston, as opposed to David Price, who I'm always afraid of what he's going to say and how
Well,
unhappy
it doesn't
he seems.
matter if Chris Sale likes Boston if his shoulder falls off.
No,
in a
I
year and a
realize that, but I mean, it's a case
But-
unlike David Price,
Yeah,
who clearly
right.
hates Boston, hates the Boston media. Chris Sale deals with him just fine. That's what I mean. No,
Right.
you're right. If his shoulder falls off,
And it looks like that very well may be the case.
although
but-
his line, Chris Sale's usually pretty straight after games, and he's certainly one to quickly beat up on himself, which he does. But
Yeah.
I think he said after the last game, another not good outing. I think he said something. I think he pitched 7 innings for the first time this year. He seemed to feel, if you can forget the 5 runs he gave up, or 4 runs, I think he was feeling better about his arm after that game without
It'd be
saying too
interesting to
much.
see.
Well,
But
I
it'd be
think
nice to see a win one of these days.
the Red Sox
They still have a
had
pretty
spring training. For their pitchers, they didn't even go. They
Right.
just
Right.
so they're really a month behind.
in that show. Porcello
It's
finally
definitely
pitched a very good game.
Yep, Porcello was great last night.
Rodriguez the day before was
Rodriguez
shaky.
was
missed by an out
Yeah.
of getting the win.
right. And then I'm not sure who went today.
Price has pitched some decent games.
I think your
No, of course,
problem.
then Evaldi runs into another arm injury.
Evaldi, he got his elbow operated on. The other problem your team has is you just don't have enough guys in the bullpen that are quality.
Yeah, although the bullpen hasn't been that bad.
Well, you can't pitch Brazier
Yeah.
every damn game. They've been
Talk
pitching.
about a pretty nice pickup out of nowhere.
He's come out of nowhere, but Brazier and Barnes and those guys, you don't have enough good guys.
Well, yeah,
I'm not-
they let their 2 workhorses walk in free
Yeah.
agency, and it's been a problem. But
Well,
you look at a guy like
I don't
Marcus
blame him
Walton.
for not paying Kimbrel mega bucks.
Well, no, Kimbrel isn't
Walden's
worth
been
it.
great
certainly
for
coming
him
off
this
a
year.
very shaky last third of the season. What's that?
Marcus Walden, he's been their guy this year, kind of coming out of nowhere. These are his stats. He got the win today. He's 4-0.
Really, 4-0?
4-0. The Red Sox have 14
I'm
wins.
sorry, who started today?
I'm not sure who started today. I'll look.
Okay.
But Walden, 4-0, 1.65 ERA in 11
Holy.
games, 16 innings pitched, 19 strikeouts, 0.8 WHIP.
Wow.
He's been good, and it very well could be just a good April.
I'm
but-
not the bullpen. I'm way more concerned about the starters.
Oh,
at this
absolutely.
point.
Which is something we never thought we'd say, but
So Evaldi, geez, so he's gone for like a month or 2, huh?
yeah, talk about the Red Sox
When you have
spending a lot of money
surgery
on,
on
guys
your
that are-
elbow,
Yeah.
that's not good.
When I saw 4 to 6 weeks, why am I totally skeptical when I saw out 4 to 6 weeks?
right?
Doesn't that sound like a very, very good case scenario for Evaldi?
Well, you know what? He gave it up. He gave it up so that you guys could win a
I'll
World
never.
Series.
Hey, his extra inning, I'll never. That's
Right,
one
yeah.
of
I don't think Red
the
Sox
most
fans.
impressive moments in sports. I mean, he blew me away.
Same with Steve Pierce right now. The Red Sox,
Yeah.
you cannot be mad at him for hitting 103 because
Yeah.
what he did last year in the playoffs, he won us a World
But speaking
Series.
of what, I'm almost afraid to ask Pedroia. I'm on the road when I'm talking to somebody up here, maybe you guys. Pedroia, is that his bad knee, leg,
Yeah.
whatever that he? How did he injure me? Was that just playing? He injured it again?
I think it's just not good, and
How much
but he's
hope
going
can
back.
you-
He's going back. He's doing some rehab games right now, I think, isn't he?
Boy,
Yeah,
if Pedroia ever
I'm
comes back for any
skeptical.
length of time, I'll
Right.
be stunned.
Yeah, I think we've
I
seen
think
the
time
last
to talk
of
to
him.
make him a coach or something.
I don't think his knee can hold up.
Right.
Jeez.
And it's tough because he's given literally his body to the Red
He did.
Sox.
Nobody in baseball ever played
Right.
harder than Pedroia.
Right,
did.
and
hard
it's
to
just a
beat
matter
him
of
up
time.
about that.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who the Red Sox started today. It was either Vince Velasquez or Walden.
So Walden might have started.
Walden
then, huh?
pitched 3 innings. That
If
he was the most used pitcher.
He didn't start then. You need 5
Well,
innings if you got the win.
Okay,
So he definitely didn't start.
It must have been Velasquez then because
Velasquez.
pitched 2 innings, Walden pitched 3, Workman pitched 1, Brewer, Hembury, and Thornburg also pitched 1.
Okay.
So it's pretty much just
Is Thornburg doing all
committee.
right, or?
Poor Thorne. I had forgotten
he has
about.
an ERA of
I don't think he hasn't pitched that much, has he?
8.53,
he
I
hasn't.
believe.
I don't think so. This is a guy who last year came in the dugout after being pulled when he should have been pulled.
He's pitched 12 innings.
Did something crazy.
No,
and
that was
blew out
Carson
it.
Smith.
I'm sorry, that
Yeah.
was wrong guy. Sorry, Thornburg.
Smith, I don't think we'll
Thornburg,
see
you
back,
got from somebody. He was supposed to be.
One of them was
Milwaukee.
was that
Yeah,
the
he was
Travis,
for Travis Shaw.
Yes.
Travis
now,
Shaw trade.
he was good at the time of that trade,
Yeah.
but he's just been injured.
Yeah.
And
Those
he
trades for
doesn't look-
Smith and Thornburg, Tucker's like horrible trades.
He
as it
doesn't
turned
really
out.
look like he's doing too well. 8.5 ERA in 12 innings pitched this year.
But starting pitching,
that
I'm way more
happens, that
worried
happens.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I think any Red Sox fan should be worried about right now. But at the same time, there's still 140-something games to be played.
A lot of games.
Well, I'll
It's
tell
a
you-
long stretch, and it's all about
Get
getting on that roll. and
Get back to 500 for starters, and
They've got three wins in a row. It's something to build on.
They hit the road.
You just
Next
gotta go
4
from there.
games at the Shy Sox, at the Pale Hose, so they're on the road.
Well, I think it's too early to worry about baseball anyway.
yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's
I'll tell you what's been really super good has been the
How about
hockey.
Stanley Cup? Oh, I'm all over Stanley Cup.
Oh my God, Dave! The Bruins, Columbus. Oh,
Great
what
series.
hockey!
But
Talk
every
about-
story, every Boston paper story I saw after it was even 1-1 was all Boston saying, "Hey guys, why don't you give Columbus a little credit? What about
Well,
the Blue Jackets?
Columbus-
what a great
Columbus isn't as
blue-collar,
good.
lunch pail hitting team, but
this is what Columbus
Total
does.
effort.
Columbus wears you down, and then they have the hottest
Absolutely.
goalie in hockey to
and
back
the
it
goalie's
up.
been on.
Their
All
goalie,
they-
it doesn't-
all they need is-
Bobrovsky is
Right.
You know how
great.
many posts the Bruins hit last night?
If the
Yeah.
How
Bruins,
about 3?
right,
So
and
the
in game
goalie,
2,
the
it was
goalie,
just,
their goalie's
just
been
as much.
great. He was a
Right.
little lucky though. I mean, 3 posts. Give me a break.
But it's one of those deals where Columbus will just wear you down. They only need to score 2 goals a game, and 5 times out of 10
Oh,
they're
I-
going to win.
I agree.
I think Columbus
I
really.
mean, advantage Columbus. They got the next home game. They're up 2-1.
The Bruins are in a. This is a must-win game for Boston because
I
you
agree.
look at it. Marchand's not playing well. Bergeron's not playing well.
Right.
Pasternak's. This might be the worst we've ever seen
Yeah,
David Pasternak
thanks
play.
to folks like Charlie Coyle, who I grew up in Hingham, Mass. Charlie grew up in East Weymouth, a couple miles, probably 5 miles from my house.
Coyle has been a great pickup. Marcus Johansson's also
Although
been
Coyle
a great
did,
pickup.
in fairness, he did have a terrible giveaway in the second game.
But he scored both. He
He's
scored the
behind
tying
the net.
goal
He's
and the
not
winning
even
goal in game
looking.
1.
He throws it out front, and they get the goal.
Hey, I
goal
think the
there.
Bruins were
But
lucky
Coyle's been great.
to get by the first round. They were outplayed by
they were.
Toronto,
Sure.
probably 5 out of
Yeah.
7 games, and
I agree.
because of Rask or just because they were sneaky,
Sure.
they
They
ended up
definitely lucked
beating
out.
I
Toronto.
agree. I considered it
However,
a flip of the coin
I think
series.
when you look at, I agree, but when you look at it for Boston right now, I think you've almost got to consider the season a disappointment if you don't make it to the finals because you look at what's
didn't
in
have
their
Tampa.
way.
They didn't have,
right.
Tampa Bay to deal with in the second
gone.
round.
Tampa's gone. All the good teams in the West are gone. The only thing keeping the Bruins back from the finals right now are the Columbus Blue Jackets, New York Islanders, Carolina Hurricanes. If you don't
Well,
make it to
I mean,
the
you
finals
never-
with that,
Yeah, I mean, you never know though.
Hey, I'll tell you what, there is no sport, none, in which the regular season means less
Yeah,
than
right.
hockey. All the 4 division winners
gone.
gone.
Yeah.
I mean, Tampa Bay swept. I mean, unreal.
Well, Tampa
But
Bay.
no, I'm really
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with the Blue Jackets. This is
Columbus
sounds
is
like a,
built for the playoffs. They have people like Nick Foligno that can beat you up, but at the same time can put out good minutes.
Yeah.
Those kind of players are rare. I mean, Brad Marchand, I think, is the best example of just a guy who can get under your skin and kind of beat on you a little bit, but he's a top 10 player.
He
in the
hurt
league
the
at this
Bruins
season.
all last night. He had two bad
Did you
penalties.
see
Last
what he
night
did
was
at
not
the
good.
end of the game?
Yeah.
The end of the game-
He gives a guy just as the game's ending.
Yeah.
Gives the guy a little punch
in
and
the back
stuff.
of the head.
Yeah.
He's a punk. And why doesn't he lick him like he did last year?
Yeah,
Well,
God,
here's my thing on that.
fortunately, I think even he got beyond. Oh, look at that.
That okay?
Horrible.
The licking thing.
The licking is gross.
unexcusable.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Insane. Totally
Okay.
insane.
He's really awful. He's on the verge of mental health.
But
issues.
he's
gets
also
under-
a pretty
But
good
he's a
hockey
damn good player. That's a problem.
Okay,
with
here's
him.
the thing
If I
about
were- if I
here's
was-
the thing about Marchand. And going back to game one, just he does stuff to get under your skin. Like in the overtime,
Absolutely.
he's there with Cam Atkinson, a BC product.
Oh, is that right?
Yep, and they're in the they're just lining up the face-off circle. Well, he gets kind of purposely ties Atkinson's stick in between his legs and then stomps on the blade and cuts it off.
Yeah.
Atkinson kind of freaks out a little bit, shows the ref, and goes back to the bench while Marchand sits there, laughing a little bit. Atkinson comes back out. He's skating back over to his position, and Marchand backs up and trips Atkinson up, and just under his skin and in his head, and that's the kind of stuff that he does.
He's awful.
He's a punk, but he's when he's not getting penalties for the stuff he does, he helps the Bruins so much.
He's a very good hockey
Well,
player.
he's skilled. You know what's amazing?
Yeah, he is skilled.
Is even
he had
the-
a bunch of
He's a
didn't he have
top
over
10
40
player in the
goals?
league.
Didn't he have over 40 goals?
Yeah, he had 30
He's
goals.
skilled.
This year. He had,
He's skilled
80
beyond
points,
belief.
I think.
Yeah.
The thing is, there are no more hockey players out there who are not good. They can all skate.
Right.
They can all stick handle.
And that's-
they can all play.
That's the thing. You look at that Toronto and Boston series. There's almost no physicality in it. There's no more. Hockey is so far from what it was 10 years ago when it was not only about who scores the most goals, but who, especially in the playoffs. But
Well,
who beats each
it's
other
still
up.
a battle of attrition.
But the hit-
this
the
Columbus,
hitting in this series is
Columbus
unreal.
Bruins, there's a ton of hitting. These
Right.
guys are
And
Talk about a
that's
blue-collar
like I said,
series.
Columbus built for the playoffs. They swept Tampa because they are like that. They are one of those rare teams that has a collection of players that are very talented, but at the same time can really play physical and really exert their will on you. The Tampa Bay can't do that. Toronto can't do
No.
that. That's
If
why those two
Columbus-
teams are out in the first round, is because playoffs
Well,
takes
Toronto's defense
That was a very
coughed it up.
tight series.
They made a few critical errors.
Yeah.
But once they lost Kadri, even though they won games
You're
after
right.
they lost Kadri,
That Kadri
series
was a big loss.
That series was over because Boston has a few guys, not as much as they used to, not as much as I'd like to have them have, but they still have a few guys on that roster who can really rough you up. Toronto has nobody. You think Matthews
All
is
right.
going to go get in a shoving match?
Yeah.
You think Marner's going to do that? Nylander?
just a little-
it's not going to
just a
happen.
little
and
too
you don't
soft.
win in the playoffs because if your skills, speed, and just like you said, soft hockey, which is perfectly fine, you're going to win 50, 60 games in the regular season doing that. It doesn't work for you in the playoffs. Look at Tampa Bay. Stamkos, Kucherov, Braden Point. They aren't going to touch you. They're going to try to just bring the puck down the ice.
Unreal.
Columbus beat them
No,
up
I
and
think
they
Columbus
swept
is a great. If Columbus beats the Bruins, go Columbus.
Hey,
I
what
would
about
love to
Tortorelli?
see them win the cup.
He's a good
Tortorella's
coach.
a fantastic
Tortorella's pretty
coach.
good.
He's a good coach. That guy's
Especially for a while. I think maybe, time eventually catches up to him, but no, that's a great coach for Columbus.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and another thing, I went to a Bruins Canadians game this year.
Yeah.
There was more checking at a BFA Comets hockey game
Is that right?
than there was in that Bruins Canadians.
The game has changed so much, and it's really sad.
So
because
Columbus, kind of a
the
throwback,
physicality aspect is-
blue collar.
Well,
once
you
failed
can't
kind of team,
play
and a great
82
goalie.
games like this.
And
Right.
the goalie Sergei's been
Oh, Boboloff has
a little
been
lucky, but he's been great.
fantastic.
Tuca's been decent. Tuca's
been plenty
playing
good.
some
Bad
pretty
either.
good goals.
But
Did you see that save that Bobrovsky got last night, where
Yeah.
he threw
He
his stick
fell down.
and he got his blocker?
Yeah.
But that last game as a Bruins fan was so frustrating. Nothing.
Bruins
Get
dominated the
goal.
third period. Yeah.
They just can't score. They can't get it past them. It was so frustrating.
Well, I think it's in their head now too.
But the Bruins again were behind Toronto 2-1 and 3-2. But you're right,
I think
Mr.
I
Redneck.
think it's
I think
a
they better. I think
must-win
they better
tomorrow.
win
You-
tomorrow night. They better
But
win
Brat, you
tomorrow
can't
night.
go down. You can't say, okay, we have
You
to
don't wanna
win
go down
3 games
3-1.
in a row. when you're facing the hottest goalie in hockey. Look at Vegas last year. Was Vegas the best team in the playoffs? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But Marc-Andre Fleury was the best goalie in the playoffs, and a hot goalie
Speaking about
sometimes can
Vegas,
get you to the
what-
finals.
The penalty, oh boy, talk about a huge story that I was paying attention to.
Oh,
on the
wow.
road.
I didn't see that
Vegas
game,
is
but
up 3-0.
Yeah.
Right? A period or two away from
I've never seen
moving on and
anything like
stuff.
this before.
And the cross check, the guy crumples to the ground, and I guess the league even said it shouldn't have been a should have been a 2-minute.
He got hit pretty hard because if you saw when he was laying on the ground,
did
there was
look.
blood coming out of the top of his helmet. So he
Yeah,
got
the
hit
quick,
hard.
The quick reaction was, yeah.
But I think the call was not the right one. I think it was a 2-minute penalty. I don't think it was
I think
5.
everybody in retrospect says, yeah, it should have been a 2-minute
That being
penalty.
said,
or maybe a double minor.
Double minor,
Right.
maybe.
And not a major, because
Right.
the major,
That's
the thing is when you got a
continuous,
double
right.
minor, when you score a goal, you lose one of them.
right.
And a
but
major, you
A
lose.
major, they get
Penalty.
5 goals just like what they
The
did.
penalty
Good point.
thrown
double
aside.
Minor,
the-
double minor would have made more
The
sense.
penalty
probably.
thrown aside, the penalty is a scapegoat. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a non-story
Still,
because
you have a
Vegas came
3-goal.
out.
You have a 3-goal lead. You still probably should have won the game.
You had a 3-goal lead with 10 minutes to go in
Didn't
Game
they
7.
actually tie it late? Didn't they?
Yes.
They got it into OT.
They did.
And
Only to lose in
give up
OT.
4 goals, not even 4 power play goals in 5 minutes is
No,
just
that's not good.
You don't deserve to win the game.
Yeah, it's not
and
good.
Vegas didn't deserve to win the game.
Not good.
So-
But you're dismissing, I mean, seeing what Columbus, I'm dismissing no team. You're dismissing all the Western teams. I mean,
I think- well,
so I think
no,
the
no, I'm
Nighthawk
not
said
dismiss-
that,
I
hey,
think-
Duke, if the Bruins get past Columbus, which they certainly should, they got a pretty.
Now, did San
maybe
Jose
didn't say
win last
easy,
night?
but
San Jose, yes.
Was that last night?
Yes.
They're playing the Blues.
San Jose's playing Colorado.
Okay.
And
San Jose looks pretty good,
Blues
too.
are playing Dallas.
Blues are playing
Well,
Dallas.
San Jose had that stretch there where they looked awful when they went down. They lost 3 straight to Vegas, but since then they've won 5 out of 6.
Yeah, they look good.
Colorado's a really good team.
I think
They're
anything.
showing.
I'm not dismissing anybody who's.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not saying. I think all 8 teams left can.
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely.
But the folks in Columbus, we're talking, I mean, that's their one. I mean,
Columbus has
Ohio
been
State,
surprising.
But they're one major, they're one big time team. Hey, good for them. I give them a ton of credit. I'm really impressed. I'm blown away by
and
what I
that,
see.
That atmosphere last night
They've
was
won
incredible.
6 or 7 games against Tampa Bay and the Bruins so far. And the game they lost, they sort of OT game. They
Go
could have
back
won
to
that
the regular
game.
season. I think with 2 or 3 games left, the Bruins just dismantled Columbus, like
Is that
5-2, I think it was,
Really?
In Boston. It just goes to show the regular season is
Right. Regular
it's just
season's
about
nothing.
getting to the playoffs, and once you're there, it's anybody's game.
But I'm loving
That's what makes
Stanley
it the
Cup.
best. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's really
I watch
good.
some Bruins games regular season. I'll pay some attention to them.
Yeah.
But even non-Bruins games, I'm loving on the road. I've been watching a lot of Stanley Cup. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
My trouble is I can't stay awake.
All right.
Yeah, the games are so late, especially those West Coast games, that it was tough because that
that's a little
Vegas San
tough.
Jose game 7 started at 10:30 at night. I had to
Yeah,
be to work
that's
for
what-
6:30
Yeah,
the
if I
next
didn't ma- I
morning.
didn't
That
make it
was
to
a
that.
that was a tough dilemma. I ended up
Yeah.
falling asleep trying to decide what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Tonight we've got Islanders at Carolina as we speak.
Yeah.
And St. Louis at Dallas later on. Anyway,
I was getting excited because once we moved down to Raleigh, I was
Wow.
excited to go to Hurricanes games
you'll get seats
for
there,
like $10 because
Is that right?
they're terrible.
Yeah.
But now that they're a potential Stanley Cup team,
that'll
those
be- yeah,
seats
that'll be
might not
great.
be as inexpensive next year.
You
So
got Hurricanes, you got great college stuff, obviously. Celtics. I didn't know what to think, but after they sweep Indiana, geez, I mean the regular season was. I mean, do you feel the same way about the NBA that the regular season means nothing or not?
Well, I can't watch NBA even now.
So it
I
means
haven't
nothing.
watched much, no.
yeah, I
So
can't.
Nick, Celtics first game again after they swept Indiana. The regular season was a mess. I don't think I was expecting much postseason, but they sweep Indiana. They have a great second half against the Bucks, win easily first game,
And
but
then last
reality
night's
kind of
just-
returned. last
Yeah.
night. But still, Celtics, I mean, pretty good postseason so far. I mean, hey,
Yeah, all things
they've got
considered.
home court advantage now with Milwaukee.
Yeah, all things considered.
What to think about the Celtics?
Well,
Yeah, it's The Warriors are going to win the championship.
I did actually catch a fair amount of that game last night.
Yeah.
2 competitive games by Houston.
Well, I'm
but
going to
still
tell you
2
something.
losses.
So
you don't even watch
I
this
read.
stuff?
I'll tell you how I feel about basketball. I read a article on John Havlicek in the New York Post.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned John Havlicek.
Sad news there. For
John Havlicek
If you don't,
was
if you
just
don't like John
one
Havlicek.
great player
And great guy.
Unreal. And a true hustler. And
Great guy.
when you think about that kind of basketball, and then I watched one night, I watched 30 for 30 on the 1969 to 73 Knicks
Oh, yeah.
with Dave DeBusschere and Clyde Frazier and Willis Reed and that bunch. And
Decent team.
Bill Bradley, those guys passed the ball. You watched the basketball. The basketball was the way it was meant to be played.
Yeah. Bill Bradley, of course, who almost went to Duke. I think he might have even told Duke he was going to Duke and then
Ended up
went
going
to
to
Princeton.
Princeton.
Not a bad decision.
But the basketball then was so much better.
Yeah.
And we were having this discussion last week just before the end of the show. I think for almost every sport, maybe 8 out of 10 sports, the sports were better
back then.
than they are now, with the exception, number one, of hockey.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Hockey's definitely better.
There's no way that the hockey is just fantastic right now.
Yeah.
But basketball, even college basketball, is not much fun to watch
Well, of course,
anymore.
you have, as Nighthawk would be
It's-
quick to
yeah.
say, you have so many best players who are gone after.
Well,
a
it's
year.
not just that. It's that they don't.
the 3-point shooting. I almost.
They
wonder if
don't
that
even
was a
try to.
mistake.
It's just they don't even run fast breaks.
And center,
They-
who cares about center? Hey, we're taking 3-point shot. Who
It's
cares
just
about having a
3-point
good
shooting.
center?
Right.
And
college, and I'm bitter college didn't, right from the get-go, put the 3-point line at the pro line, which they still haven't done. How about moving it back to the pro line? And the Dukies are as bad, Hey, if they're hitting 3.
really nice basketball, where when you watch those Knicks,
Yeah.
the ball would go through all 5 players.
Yeah.
Well, but
All-
Celtics had a few good
The
years.
Celtics had teams.
I mean, Kuzi.
Hey, what was a more beautiful thing to watch in a Celtics fast break?
Right.
How about, even for younger guys, how about the Lakers fast break with Magic and Worthy and Kareem? The basketball was perfect. It was beautiful. Football, you had teams. I think the last really great.
Of course, the size of the players obviously is so different now. But you think football was better?
Oh, way better. And the other thing is with the salary cap, the players aren't as skilled.
Yeah.
Now, are they good athletes? Absolutely. No doubt about it. But guys used to have to learn their trade. You take like 10, 20 years ago, when you drive, a quarterback didn't play for at least 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
No quarterbacks played as rookies. Now it's like college football.
Yeah.
And baseball. Baseball is the same. Fundamentally, these guys, they can't bunt, they can't field, they throw to the wrong base, they don't hustle. You want to watch good baseball, you watch college baseball. It's played the right way. But pros, and it's not that the guys aren't good. I mean, shoot, the pitchers are all throwing 100 miles an hour,
Right.
but they can't pitch only about 3 innings.
Yeah. Right, a complete game. What's a complete game?
What about your guys like Bob Gibson that were totally dominant?
who would almost always pitch a complete game? Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's.
Pitch count. Yeah, you got to love.
But the
you gotta love
fundamentals,
stat of
the
pitch
guys,
count.
the guys today, you've got 4 fielders on the right side of the field, and you can't hit the ball to the left.
Or put down a bunt. Right.
Right. It's
Good
like
luck
Jackie
having these
Bradley
guys
every
bunt.
time they put the shift on. Like,
He
just
should
bunt
be
it,
bunting
man. You're
every
fast.
time. Boy, Jackie, here we go again. What's he at about like 150 or something?
And then
I think it's time. Not to get away from your
Yeah.
point, but I think it's time for the Red Sox to move on from him.
Yeah.
well, he had a good
So
World
good.
Series.
Right.
Yeah,
But
and defensively,
It-
maybe
it's
nobody.
like-
But he can't hit.
we know this story. It's
You're right. He should
Jackie's
be-
gonna hit.
If they do a shift, yeah, Jackie, bunt.
Yeah,
Get
it's
a
not like
bunt
he's
hit.
slow. I mean, we know the narrative. He's gonna hit 100. He's gonna hit 125 for 4 or 5 months of the season.
Although
and hit
last year
400 for the
he
other
did
months.
kick it up. I think he ended up at about 230, 240. He did his last half of the season was actually fairly.
He always does
respectable.
just enough to stay relevant.
He had a good spring training. That did
his
him a lot of
defense
good.
is his
No, it's
defense is
outstanding.
great, but at the same time, you got to think about it where. You just got to look at the future without him. I don't think that there's going to be room on this team financially, especially in 2 to 3 years. Especially if they bring back Betts.
Well, they got so much money tied up in dead money.
Right.
And it looks like Sale and Evaldi are going to be dead money too, from
Yeah.
the looks of it.
They're in real
Sale
trouble.
is concerning.
But and to get back to my ranting and raving, even look at tennis. Now I'd say women's tennis is fun to watch.
And I missed women's tennis in Charleston, South Carolina, for the first time in 15 years.
But men's tennis,
men's
tennis isn't fun to watch.
I can't. It's not fun to watch because the serve. The
It's just-
servers are
it's-
120 mile an hour serve. I can't. Right. I don't.
It's not
pay
like
much-
I can remember
like my
watching.
man Rafael Nadal, especially on clay, where it is much more watchable. But no, a fast court men's tennis doesn't do much for me.
No, it's and even golf. And even golf, as good as the players are,
Yeah.
it's the ball and the equipment have changed it
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
There's just we've lost the I don't know the spirit of the sports.
Yeah.
And the lack of
Serious.
the lack of sportsmanship.
Yeah.
And
that comes into
that's the
play.
one thing that's nice about golf is the guys shake hands when they're done, and it's the same thing with hockey.
And hockey,
When they-
these guys kill themselves maybe for 7 games.
Yeah.
Kill themselves.
And they've got a
they
good hate
still-
working up by the.
And they
Yeah.
still do. No, I think that's the coolest thing in all
It's
of
the best
sports.
tradition. Yeah, I think that. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, and the tennis player, your big time players like Nadal, who I love. There have been some great, if you like tennis, in the last 10, 20 years, some incredible matches in the majors, 5-set matches. And afterwards, these guys, if it's Nadal, Federer, whatever, they're going after each other for 5 hours maybe. And the sportsmanship is great.
Right.
Hey, you didn't win, but believe me, you were great. The sportsmanship in tennis still seems to be pretty good, with some exceptions, one of whom I won't bother mentioning.
Serena Williams.
I was going to mention Serena.
I think that
Totally beat up on her, but she has some bad moments.
I think that possibly you're saying every sport is not as good. I think
Yeah,
technology.
do you buy that, Nick, or not?
I do a little bit. I think that it is.
Not that you've been around
You
as
say
long
that
as
you
us
say the
guys.
spirit is gone, and I agree. I think it's. I think the insertion of all this technology, and you look at baseball, the New York Yankees last year, analytics this, analytics that.
Right.
We wanted to get our exit velocity and launch angle up. It's not just guys playing the game anymore. They're using all this technology to try to make it a science.
And oh my God,
and that's kind of taken away
our
from
guy's
it. I think.
he just threw his 30th pitch. God, get him out of there. What are you doing?
It's way too much on numbers.
I'll tell you what else I
just
think
playing.
has ruined sports, and I would get rid of all of the instant replay and everything.
Yeah. Of course,
I agree with you in a sense because
going the other way, obviously.
You watch sports like basic like fundamentals here. You watch sports because you want to see athletes perform incredible tasks.
Yeah, which they keep doing.
When if let's say Mookie Betts strikes out with the bases loaded in the World Series, that's just part of the enjoyment of it. You're upset obviously, but that's what you're entertained. That's the point of it. Everyone in this day and age is saying, we need the officials to be perfect in everything. We need
Why?
you know,
The players
automatic
aren't
umpires.
perfect.
What's
Players
perfect
aren't
in life?
perfect.
Is
Why
there
does
any
why
perfection
do
in life?
umpires, referees have to be perfect?
And
I think it's
takes-
part of the entertainment, part of the
you-
drama.
so you'd go
factor.
back, you'd bag
Missed
it, you'd
calls
bag
are
everything.
absolutely.
I
a
never
huge part of
care.
the game.
And now they're going to start.
How long do umpires
Appealing-
keep calling balls and strikes?
Well,
Isn't that the
in
next
football,
thing to go?
football, now they're going to be able to throw the red flag on pass interference.
Of course, right. The Patriots, I guess, are, as many people have said, should be happy it didn't happen
Well,
last season.
what's happened with instant replay is it started to. We're only going to do it to stop the most egregious boo-boos.
Yeah.
But then it, you know,
Then
became
again,
a school
like
thing.
baseball. Remember when? What was the thing that finally pushed baseball? Was that guy's no hitter that he
Yeah.
lost?
And that's big. But like, and now it's just being used for, oh, there's one out in the top of the sixth, and it's a 6-1 game. This manager wants to throw a challenge flag on a play at first base with 2 outs.
Right.
Nobody
Or
else
what
on
about
base.
what about the
Let's
plays?
take 10 minutes and review it.
What about the plays at second?
Right.
You were never supposed to play baseball where you needed a super slow motion camera to decide
Right.
whether or not you had that foot was off the base. A guy slides on it, and you need all that technology to decide whether his foot is off
And
the
you
base.
can
that
really
much.
never tell it to begin with, because if you're looking at a tag, you can't tell because the ball's in the glove. It's
crap.
difficult because it is dumb, because baseball was the last sport to say, okay, we want to keep the human element in it. We want to stay as far away from instant replay as possible. This is just another case. Listen, as a NASCAR fan, I deal with a less than average intelligent fan base a lot. And the history of NASCAR is famous for making changes based on what the fans want, and those changes actually being really, really bad because the fans are not, they don't know what they're talking about, even though they think they do. That's what's happened with baseball and instant replay. The fans say, "Oh, that call sucks. We want instant replay. We want challenges. They have challenges in football. Why can't we have challenges?"
So what's the story with NAS?
Now they complain when the instant replay takes 10 minutes. Well, what did you want in the first place?
Exactly, and it
Make
takes.
up your
What did
mind.
you expect was going to happen?
Hey, you know what? To me, I went to the UVM basketball game down in Hartford.
Yeah, I never saw
No,
you
that's
there.
great.
What was up with that?
Oh, Nick, so Nick, you were
We
there.
we had
Yeah.
good seats. We were down on in a not way down, but maybe 10 rows from the
Good
floor.
for you.
Stay for the.
guys.
Did you
I
stay for
did.
the other
I
game
stayed.
too?
I stayed
Good
for
for you
most of it.
guys.
That John Morant kid, he was something. I
Yeah,
told you he
he's
was
good.
something else.
He's good.
It's good.
But what I'm getting at is because of the TV, because of the instant replay, the games now in basketball, teams used to get in a flow.
Oh,
Now-
Flo, good luck.
You can't do it because
Now
there's
it's 4
10-minute
minutes,
stoppages.
3 minutes.
Right.
There's a TV timeout
Right.
every 4 minutes.
Right.
And it takes away everything. Plus, the other thing it does is it takes away the conditioning issue
Right.
because the guys really don't
You gotta
need
rest
to come
every
Hey,
out.
4
buddy.
minutes.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
you got
and-
4 minutes. Hang in for
Go
4
in, like-
minutes, and then you can
And
rest up.
To exactly to your point, I was at all but like 1 or 2 UVM basketball home games this year.
Oh, really?
This
Good
was
for
the
you.
first year in that since I've been going that they have had all the games online. They had it on the streaming ESPN Plus. That meant TV timeouts. Last year, these games were games of runs, and it was super exciting. This year, every 4 minutes, even if a team's on a 10-0 run, that run is killed because we're going to take a 2-minute break.
Yeah.
now.
Right.
It's-
Isn't hockey
just
better
not-
about that? It seems like I still
Well, they
see
have
pretty-
three. They have
Three breaks
three
per period?
breaks per period.
and none during overtime, which is
That's
awesome.
not. That's not.
And
too bad.
in
That's
the
not
old
too bad.
days, way
Yeah.
before you were born, what hockey used to do is they wouldn't show a commercial during a play unless somebody was hurt or something. They would run a little sidebar on the bottom, like a little
Yeah.
brawler.
Yeah, what they should do. I mean, if you watch,
So hockey's not too so bad.
But it's still the reason they do it, and when they do it, when you're in the stands, that's why they've invented all this crap.
Right.
The KISS camera
Right.
and all that stuff.
Because you got to fill 2-minute slots every 4 minutes. What they really need to do, getting back to NASCAR here, is NASCAR, obviously, you aren't going to park the cars to go on a commercial break. So they take commercial breaks during the race. A lot of times now what they do
The race,
is
race obviously is still going on.
Right. They split the screen in half.
yeah, I've been
One
seeing that
side they
more.
have the race. The other side they have just a regular ad.
I've been
Obviously,
seeing that more.
it'll never happen because the brands they don't pay as much money for those ads.
Right.
You wouldn't think so.
So it'll never happen. But that's such a great idea for all sports, just to keep the action going.
Well, it would be
If
if
you
they
have
kept
to
it
take
going,
timeouts.
but they don't. They
Right.
they've crawled. Plus basketball, what do you get? 4 timeouts a half now in college
and
basketball.
the end of basketball games is a
Or
disgrace.
interminable.
A close
terrible.
game, 2 minutes left. You better have a half hour or
right,
so. It's
right.
it's a. I'm
You want to
so
watch
bitter.
a hockey game that
Fellas.
flies right by? Olympic hockey, no commercials.
Oh, is that right?
You watch
Wow.
those, what are they, about an hour for the
Yes.
whole thing, hour and a half tops?
Yeah.
And the action is back and forth.
Too bad they won't let NHLers to do Olympic hockey though. So I guess
Well-
we just can't have nice things no matter
But
what.
and the other thing that really gets under my craw is that when you go to a basketball game, you're going to UVM, the scoreboard underneath the scorekeepers,
Yeah.
they're talking about they run their stuff, they've got their electronic video board, and they're talking respect.
Respect.
All right. So what do you do? What do you do for the every 3 minutes? You have a jiggle team. They're technically a dance team, but it's really a jiggle team. So you got girls going out there in spandex, dancing, shaking around like they're dancers at the Chez Paris in Montreal, and this whole NCAA farce of respect.
Well, that's, the NCAA. That's another topic. And
But am I wrong?
Right,
Am I wrong?
right.
They aren't even like cheerleaders now.
I get what you're saying, but so when I went when at Hartford, I got to really get that taste of just how bad the NCAA is.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I got signed up for my press pass, I got emails from them, like 5 of them, saying, all right, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. And it's like
Really?
strict, like 5-page PDFs of, you can do this while sitting on press row, but you can't do that. And,
What were they can't do? I mean, don't think about
can't-
trying to talk to a player or something.
Right, it's stuff like that. You can't record any live video.
Yeah, really.
Basically, just like don't use your phone. Just like internet rules, and then and it was just weird how they did it. And then you get there, and there's this new drink that's like supposed to be replacing Gatorade. It's called Body Armor.
Body armor?
Yeah, and it's like a natural Gatorade or whatever. But they're the official sponsor of the NCAA. So
Really?
you get to the tunnel to go to press row, and I had a Coke that I got from the media room, and the lady's like, "You can't have that out there." I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "You can pour it into this Body Armor cup if you want."
Is that right? So you
And
couldn't.
so
you had a Coke.
you have to
Well, I'm glad they
pour
didn't throw you out for that. No.
Right. You have to go onto the press row. You have to have
Really?
Body Armor because that's where that's going to be on TV. So
Body armor, a cousin of Under Armour.
I don't know.
but and so I thought that was
that right?
interesting. And then the third thing was that you never once heard them refer to the players as the players. They always
They refer to
went
the
out of
student-
their
the
way
student
as
athletes.
to refer to them as
Yeah,
the
like,
student athletes.
Not my favorite term.
Which I just thought was hilarious.
How about they're in
because-
school, at least
Right.
Theoretically, so you don't have to call them students. They're in school. They call them athletes.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a
the
horrible term.
It was just kind of the
Especially
epitome
with
of
some
how
of these
bad
guys
the
who
NCAA
can't
is.
even talk. Post-game press conferences.
Right.
Some of your
Oh,
impressive
they're-
students.
Well, and then that too, like you had the post game press conferences. They'd be like, all right, we're going to have these players come out, and then the coach, you can ask the coach questions now, and then you can ask the questions now. And if you ask the players a question out of turn, then the guy would be like, no, we're not taking that question right now. So it was just, it was just like.
And did you go? Were you at the post game press con?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
No, what I was going to say is too about the cheerleaders. Marquette and who was the other
Murray
team?
State.
Murray State. They had male cheerleaders.
Of course, Marquette's coach, of course, the former Dookie Wojo.
Yeah. Well, their cheerleaders, when the men are at the bottom of the pyramids holding the girls. They aren't like the Vermont cheerleaders. I got a man dancing around like a girl. I'm sorry. I don't want to see some guy dancing out there. It's just wrong. And, it just that's not the demographic they're aiming at anyway. Yeah. But it's just such. They had that whole block all cordoned off, and they really, the NCAA. They could care less about these guys.
Right, they're all in it. It's 100% a business.
And it was a full house, I assume.
It was actually filled up pretty well for both
pretty
games.
well, not total full house.
I think it was like 16,000. It was at Excel Center where the Whalers used to play.
Where UConn men or women.
Well, I think the problem is that
it was. I would say there's.
If you're from Murray State, all right. Most of the folks from Murray State.
What do you care about the first?
Right. They didn't come from the first game.
Right. Yeah.
So, and it wasn't until probably the end, the last.
The UVM game was the first game.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until about the last half of the UVM game where the stands were really filled up because there were people sitting where we were.
Right.
Yeah.
And then people came in with their tickets.
Yeah, and you buy a ticket.
How much would you pay for that ticket?
I got mine for free.
Oh, that's a good deal.
I got because.
What was it on the face? Did you notice? Like $20, $25 or something?
No. They're
I
like
think the cheapest ones.
$150.
The cheapest ones were like 60, like way up top.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Sorry, way off.
But I was lucky because Buick is a big sponsor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
And so I got some corporate tickets.
No, that's good.
It was funny. I was
good for you guys.
We were at the Maple. Speaking of handy dealership sponsorship, we were down. I was down with the radio station for the Maple Fest parade over the weekend.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I walked up.
Oh yeah, you guys were there.
We walked up into.
I know you do the.
You see the Patriots cheerleaders?
Yeah. I was with Brady Farkas from 101.3 and then Mary from Star 92.9.
Oh yeah, okay.
And
I see your ads on TV.
Yeah, and
nice, good lady, fun, good lady.
Yeah, nice people. We walked up to go grab a bite to eat because we were sitting there for an hour waiting for the parade to start, and we come around the corner there up by the hometown deli and. Brady sees Handy Toyota and he's like, "Hey, the Handy Toyota broadcast booth," because they sponsor they sponsor heavily like the UVM hockey broadcasts and
huge UVM hockey
and the UVM basketball broadcasts on their stations. So yeah, I just
they had two cheerleaders up from the New England Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots mascot was up too.
Yeah, and so Bud had a couple of pictures with.
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't have anything to do with that. Those are my cousins.
Yeah, the mention on this show, maybe the other show, Maple Fest, I'm driving all day. Saturday was my second 10-hour drive day. Again, Friday from Myrtle Beach to Ocean City, Maryland. Daniel Jones, that thing just bludgeoning me for hours. And then the next day, Ocean City, Maryland, Cape May Ferry to New Jersey, on up. And I hardly ate anything, just had snacks in the car. Hey, it's Maple Festival. I'll get some Maple Festival food when I get home. I limp back to St. Albans at 8 p.m. It's nasty out. It's getting dusk. Go down to Main Street. Everything's closed. I got no food.
Yeah.
I did catch the Maple breakfast Sunday morning.
Now, one of my buddies had a picture of the Clydesdales in the Maple Festival and wanted to know what year it was, and he was asking all the guys. And I think
I guess a while ago.
1975.
Huh? Really?
And
my first year in Franklin County.
Well, what had happened too was I think either that Friday or Thursday, there was a big snowstorm and there was like a foot and a half of snow. Of course, back then the Maple Festival used to be
it was in March.
about the 1st of April or maybe even in
Oh,
March.
forget it. It was March.
And
Oh, there
so
were
they
plenty of
kept
snow.
moving it back, but the weather still stays lousy.
It's usually a good day or two. Again, I just got back Saturday night, but it sounds like this year was an especially tough year. Although Sunday at least
It was about-
dry and the sun
It was about
came out at the end of the parade.
Yeah.
Some of the
It was about
parade.
40 degrees all morning.
Not,
on
yeah.
Sunday.
This we've had winter.
This
per
is a
se.
real winter.
We've had winter since the middle of really since about the 10th of November.
Yeah.
I can report I was lucky enough to be down south for 2 to 3 weeks in April. Lucky me. I'm sure I didn't miss much up here.
Hey, I didn't even get nice weather when I went to Lebanon.
Oh, in fact, of course, I didn't hear about your Lebanon. You want to give me a quick
Well,
recap?
the weather there was just like what we had here, cold and rainy.
Was it really?
We had a couple days that were in the 60s. It was a fabulous trip.
Great trip.
And,
Safety-wise, no problems at all.
I tell everybody that I'd rather walk around Beirut at 10 o'clock at night than walk around Church Street at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Is that and you say
Absolutely.
that you say that
Absolutely.
serious? Is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
Of course,
So
we stayed in Beirut is
you're
a
in- you're
booming
in-
big city.
You're in a nice part of town. I mean,
Yeah,
would you
but
say
there's a
that
lot
about
of
the-
nice parts in Beirut.
Yeah, so the city's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
These
Oh,
days?
it's booming.
Really.
It's like it's the Las Vegas of the Middle East.
No, that's a great term. Is that right?
It is, and what you get is a lot of I'd say the big industry there is probably banking, and because the Muslims can't make money, they can't have usury. It's one of the pillars of Islam.
Oh yeah.
So they have to, and they like money. They aren't any different than anybody else. The Muslims are just like the rest of us, for the most part. And so what they do is they got a bank through a Christian bank, which the banks are all in Beirut. But anyways, the other thing they do is all these Arabs from Saudi Arabia and the Kuwait and all over.
Yeah.
When they get to Beirut, they get rid of their headdress.
Really?
The girls put on regular clothes.
Is that right?
They go to the bars and they get drunk just like
Really?
everybody else is.
Really?
And the guys at the restaurant said the Muslims drink more than the
All right.
Christians.
That's interesting. So definitely let their hair down once they're out of their country.
Yeah. So
Interesting. So
but-
great trip.
yeah, and
Travel wise, no problems traveling.
it's just long. It's you're 13 hours in an airplane.
What was the flight from?
London to Montreal to London, London to Beirut.
Okay.
And we
So
had a 5-hour
total-
layover.
Total of 13 hours flying now?
13 hours of flying, but it's about 24 hours
Okay, with the layover.
with a
That's
layover and a time change, and it was tough.
Time change being about
7
8 hours.
hours.
I was guessing 7 hours.
And
Interesting.
so that was
No, that's great. Good for you.
that was fun. And but the weather, the weather's crap all over.
Yeah.
Hey, we had a little snow today.
I did
I was
did
noticing
record in my daily weather log. I will record some sleet, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I was going to get my kid at his CCV final exam today in his biology class, and there was a bit of sleet in the air.
it's really
No, real winter.
yeah, and it's not looking good for the next few days either.
Yeah, not looking great. So what happened? We got about 8 minutes left, gentlemen. What major stuff, Nick? What haven't we touched on that we should have touched on? Any
Golf?
major stuff? Of course, golf. I had my one.
Well, I haven't been around. Well, what did you guys think about
Of course,
Tiger?
Nick hasn't.
Did you ever think
I
that
did
we-
log. I did. I was at the Masters for one day, but it was
Oh,
nothing.
you were?
But it was nothing. 2001 was magical with my old late friend Bill Moore. His mother Taffy got us tickets for the whole tourney. Tiger won then also. Hey, Tiger, hope you appreciate my presence. But 2001, every day was beautiful, 80, sunny, summery. So 2001 was magical. I picked the wrong day. I had my choice of days.
Well, they had a lot of severe weather this year.
Weather was tough. In fact, actually, I left a little early anyway, just because of I gave my badge. I was with a friend of a friend. I'd never met him before. A great guy, but his brother. They were Augusta people. They're Masters people, and so and of course it's rain. I drive up from near Hilton Head because I blew into Hilton Head the next day. Had about a 3-hour drive to get to Augusta. Kind of back roads in South Carolina. I leave in the dark, rain, not a fun. I'm not feeling great. not fun. I finally limp into Augusta by about 9:30 or so.
Now, they've put in a whole new interstate, too, around Augusta, haven't they?
There's definitely an interstate there. Nothing I went on. I didn't have the best of luck dealing with Augusta, but there is a new interstate. When I was leaving, I asked the guy I was with. He said, "Get on the interstate. That'll take you anywhere." I didn't do that, but anyway.
Now, we got a picture of our buddy Tim Bowen. He was on the
right?
cut. He was on the.
So second, his usual tour of duty.
Yeah.
The second hole.
He was on.
I didn't happen to come across. Didn't go to it.
But the golf was.
But what
really,
a tournament!
What a tournament!
And Tiger, as anybody who's been watching me, thank you, more than kind all these years. Tiger's not my favorite guy, but ton of credit. I absolutely didn't think he would get back to that level.
Yeah, I'm by no
ton of
means-
credit to Tiger.
I'm by no means a golf guy, but like watching that that's one of those moments that you're always going to say, okay, I was here when Tiger Woods won the Masters.
He meant the world. You
2019.
could
Just
tell. I mean,
an
Tiger meant
incredible
the world.
moment.
His kids were there and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, for the record, had 4 of 5 golfers in quick succession not hit the ball in the water. Incredibly, on number 12, Tiger, including Brooks Koepka.
Brooks Koepka was the guy I had to win it.
Yeah,
and,
good choice.
He kept
I
his
saw
stuff.
Xander Schauffele. He's a boy. Remember this? He's a very. I mean, he was one shot behind. He was.
Well, what
5 for
about
second.
Cantlay?
He was in Hilton Head. He looked like he was just Masters weary.
They
Just
all
they were. Although Matt Kuchar, again, a typically good Masters, he missed out at Hilton Head by 1 shot. He came in second place by 1 shot.
The guy that won it is he
The
Chinese or Korean?
Taiwanese guy.
Taiwan.
Good guy. CT Pan, his first tourney. Nice story. His wife, he was going to stay home in Houston with his wife. They bring some Taiwanese folks over and maybe show them the U.S., maybe folks who even want to become U.S. citizens. Anyway, but they had their contingent coming over that weekend. But his wife, I guess, literally said, CT, husband dear, go to Hilton Head. I want you to win because I want to be at the Masters one of these years. So go win the tournament, and he did just that. So they will be at the Masters next year. And his wife will caddy for him at the par 3 tourney.
When you win a tournament on
That's
that
a legit
tour,
tourney.
you get to win. You get a 2-year
exemptions.
exemption.
Yeah.
You get the money. You get to go on the Masters,
Winning's
the British
huge.
Open, the PGA.
Oh yeah, winning's huge. So
Yeah.
he will be at the but he's sounds like a good guy. Good guy. But it was a good tourney. Typically good time. And that was the logistics there. Instead of a 6-hour round trip to Augusta for, part of a round at Hilton Head, a half-hour bike ride to the tournament. Pretty nice.
Yeah.
But it was but the Masters folks
Hey,
are so
the
together.
scoring wasn't very high.
I predicted a 13 under winner as a trend. That's what CT2. CT Pan said, I need to get to 13 under. He won it with 12 under. That's pretty typical for Hilton Head. They don't kill it.
Because it's...
Oh, the greens are so small. I mean, you got to be good at up and downs,
And the
greens are
fairways
so
look
small.
tight.
Right. You can't blast away. Although Dustin was there. DJ, I saw a lot of him. Again, 1 shot behind at the Masters, and he was hanging in there. He had a horrible Sunday. He had a 77. He might have been just so tired. I think Nighthawk was stunned that he was going to be there. He was maybe there for the 2nd straight year. He's a South Carolina native.
Well, I think he's an RBC.
He's an RBC connection. Without that, probably wouldn't have seen DJ.
I
But
think
he had a
that's
good
why he
tourney.
does the Canadian Open too, probably.
Could well be. But he had a good tournament, and he just totally blew apart in the last Sunday. But it's not an easy course. No, 12 under is a kind of a typical winning score. But the Masters folks are just so together. Just the folks you see on the way in. I mean, everybody gives you, it's just such a together operation. And as I think I told you when I called you up, the egg salad sandwich, Nick, I had eaten nothing. I wasn't feeling great that morning. My body wasn't treating me well. Finally, at lunchtime, I better eat something. A delicious homemade egg salad sandwich, obviously, $1.50. And then my friend David, who I was with, said, I didn't get a beer. I think he got a beer. How much is beer? Oh, $3. $3. I mean,
Yeah.
Imagine what you're going to pay at Fenway Park, much less a Super Bowl or something. And David was funny. He said, I think they raised the price by 50 cents a few years ago, and a lot of people were howling about that. $3 for a beer.
Well,
So you got a good lunch at the Masters, a good lunch for $10 easy.
the last time I went to a Red Sox game,
Yeah. No,
I paid $50
10
to park the car.
50?
50.
Insane.
All right. Then we had one of those I don't know, one of those suites up in the back,
Right,
where
okay.
you can eat after, and then you can watch a game up there, or you can watch it.
Oh, yeah.
And they were really good seats.
Yeah,
2 bowls of cheddar, 2 Sam Adams, $70.
unreal. Yeah, unreal.
And here you are, you go to the
That's why
Masters, you get
I
a
love the
beer for
Masters.
$3.
Because I mentioned that on the air, I think a lot of times saying, hey, I can just see the Masters folks sitting around and saying, hey, we're not going to do what these other clowns are doing. We're going to treat our patrons
Now,
well. And they
how
do.
about like T-shirts
Oh,
and
actually,
hats?
one other
Are
thing
they
I want to
cheap?
mention, I didn't check that, but I did finally check the price on the ticket. Guess what it is? Just what it would cost you if you can somehow get a ticket straight. I mean, it's gone up, but it's still pretty reasonable. Hilton Head's about $160 for my grounds pass
Okay.
for the whole tourney. What do you think the Masters is?
200?
No, more than that, but $375 still.
Is that for all 4 days?
Oh yeah, that's for 4. Under $100 a round for the Masters. And again, getting that ticket's well nigh impossible, but still, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Because Hilton Head's $160 for the whole thing. Gentlemen, I think that's about it. Nick, great to have you back.
Yeah, thanks.
I trust we'll see again.
Definitely, yeah.
We're going to be losing, folks. If you don't see Mr. Handy,
You can see me at the golf course.
he's not abandoned. Just look for him at the golf course. But hope for some rain once in a while. Nick, hope to see you periodically anyway.
Sure.
Anyway, thanks to Nick Mumley. Thanks to Dave Handy. Thanks to our viewers. Thanks to Bobby out there for calling. And thanks to my man Zach for doing all the hard work. I have no words of wisdom as the Nighthawk does, but we'll be back next week. Thanks for joining us here on Northwest Access TV. See ya.